My name is Matt Harper, and this is the story of how my wife of 15 years decided to rewrite our entire marriage history. I met Lisa during our sophomore year of college. She was this vibrant, ambitious marketing major who could light up any room she walked into. I was the slightly nerdy business student who couldn't believe his luck when she agreed to go out with me. We dated for 3 years before getting married, and I still remember thinking I was the luckiest man alive when she said I do. We built what I thought was a perfect life together. A beautiful house in suburban Connecticut, 2 amazing daughters, Emma, who's now 13, and Jenna, who just turned 10. I worked my way up to senior management at a software company, while Lisa built her career in marketing. We were that couple other people looked at with envy, the ones who seemed to have it all figured out. But I guess that's the thing about perfect facades, they're usually hiding the deepest cracks. The changes started so gradually, I almost didn't notice them at first. Lisa began staying later at work, which didn't seem strange given her recent promotion. But then came the new wardrobe, expensive designer clothes that weren't in our budget. She started going to the gym more often, which again seemed innocent enough. Who doesn't want to stay in shape? It was the small things that eventually caught my attention. The way she turned away when I tried to kiss her goodnight. How she started taking her phone everywhere, even to the bathroom. The mysterious work dinners that kept multiplying on her calendar. I remember one particular morning that should have been a massive red flag. It was a Tuesday in March, and Lisa was getting ready for what she claimed was a crucial client meeting. "Don't wait up tonight," she said, applying lipstick I'd never seen before. The Anderson account needs extra attention. Emma, our teenage daughter, was sitting at the kitchen island, pushing her cereal around the bowl. "Mom, you promised to help me with my science project tonight." "Oh, sweetie, we'll do it this weekend." "Promise." Lisa barely looked up from her phone as she said it. "That's what you said last weekend," Jenna chimed in, and I saw the hurt in her eyes when Lisa just blew her a distracted kiss and rushed out the door. Here's the kicker. I later found out the Anderson account had closed 2 months earlier. I saw it on her company's LinkedIn page, but I didn't say anything. I told myself I was being paranoid, that there must be a reasonable explanation. That's mistake number 1 in the married man's handbook. Thinking silence keeps the peace. My best friend Jack tried to warn me. We were in his garage one weekend, working on his vintage Mustang, when he brought it up. "Brother, I'm going to say this because I love you. Something's not right with Lisa." I defended her, of course. 15 years of marriage, 2 beautiful daughters. How could anything be wrong? But then Jack showed me something on his phone that made my stomach drop. It was an Instagram post. Lisa at some beach restaurant I'd never seen, sunglasses on, laughing. There was a reflection in her sunglasses of someone taking the picture. Someone male. The photo was dated 2 days earlier, when she was supposedly at a women's business conference in Boston. Still, I kept quiet. Kept hoping I was wrong. Until Father's Day weekend, when everything exploded in my face. That Father's Day weekend changed everything. I'd been planning to take the girls to the beach, hoping to spend some quality time together, since Lisa had told us she needed to attend a yoga retreat. "It's a special intensive program," she said. "I really need this for my mental health." I believed her, even helped her pack her yoga mat and meditation cushions. But life has a way of unraveling the most carefully constructed lies. That Saturday evening, I got a call from Emma saying she'd forgotten her medication at home. Lisa was supposed to be 2 hours away at the retreat, so I told the girls I'd swing by the house to grab it and meet them at the beach later. That's when I saw Lisa's car still in our driveway. Confused, I checked her location on our family tracking app, something we'd set up years ago for safety. Her phone showed she was at Vincenzo's, our favorite Italian restaurant downtown. My heart was pounding as I drove there, telling myself there had to be a reasonable explanation. Maybe she'd cancelled the retreat. Maybe she was meeting a friend. Maybe, but deep down I knew. When I pulled into the parking lot, I spotted her car right away, the silver BMW I'd surprised her with on our 10th anniversary. 3 spaces over, there was a sleek black Audi, I'd never seen before. Through the restaurant window, I saw them. Lisa was wearing the red dress I'd bought her for our last anniversary, her hair done up the way she used to do it for our date nights, back when we still had those. Across from her sat a man who looked about 10 years younger than me. Expensive watch, tailored suit, the kind of guy you'd see in a luxury car commercial. His hand was covering hers on the table, and she was laughing at something he'd said. I sat in my car for what felt like hours, watching my wife fall in love with another man. She looked happier than I'd seen her in years, more alive somehow. For a brief, horrible moment, I wondered if I should just drive away and pretend I'd never seen it. Keep our comfortable lie of a life intact for the sake of our daughters. Then he leaned across the table and kissed her, right there in public, and she kissed him back like she used to kiss me. I didn't confront her immediately. Instead, I went home and poured myself 3 fingers of the expensive scotch she'd given me for Christmas. I pulled out my laptop and started digging. It didn't take long to find him on social media. David Anderson, 34, recently divorced, senior partner at a rival marketing firm. No relation to the Anderson account Lisa had been working on for months. Their digital footprint told a story my heart wasn't ready to accept. Check-ins at restaurants across the city. Hidden replies on Twitter. LinkedIn exchanges that were just a little too friendly. They'd been careful, but not careful enough. Or maybe they'd stopped caring about being caught. When Lisa came home that night, she was humming. Actually humming, like some lovesick teenager. She froze when she saw me sitting in the dark living room, scotch in hand. How was the yoga retreat? I asked, my voice steadier than I felt. The scotch had given me a strange kind of clarity. Lisa's hand froze on the light switch. In the dim glow from the streetlights outside, I could see her face drain of color. Matt, why are you sitting in the dark? Interesting thing happened today. I continued, swirling the amber liquid in my glass. Emma forgot her medication, so I had to stop by the house. Imagine my surprise when I saw your car in the driveway. Even more surprising when I found you at Vincenzo's. She didn't deny it. That's what got me the most. No scrambling for excuses, no tearful apologies. Instead, she straightened her spine and lifted her chin in that defiant way I used to find attractive. I suppose we need to talk. Talk. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. About what? About how you've been lying to me for months. About how you've been spending our money on hotels and fancy dinners with your boy toy. Or maybe about how you missed Jenna's ballet recital because you were too busy playing happy couple with David Anderson. Her eyes widened slightly at his name. How did you? Does it matter? What matters is that while I've been here, taking care of our home, our children, you've been living some sort of fantasy life with a man 10 years younger than you. Tell me, Lisa, was it worth it? Was he worth destroying 15 years of marriage for? She sat down across from me, smoothing her red dress, the dress I'd bought her, with trembling hands. It's not that simple, Matt. David and I. We connect on a different level. He understands me in ways you never tried to. Never tried to. My voice cracked. I spent 15 years trying to understand you, support you, love you. I was there through your father's death, through your postpartum depression, through every up and down. I changed my entire career path so you could pursue your dreams in marketing. How dare you say I never tried? That's exactly it, she burst out. You're so perfect, so understanding, so predictable. When's the last time you surprised me? When's the last time you made me feel passionate, alive? David makes me feel young again, desirable. And our daughters? Do they make you feel old? Is that why you've been neglecting them? That hit home. I saw her flinch. Don't bring the girls into this. They have nothing to do with. Nothing to do with it. I stood up, my hands shaking. They have everything to do with it. They're the ones watching their mother miss their events, break her promises, lie to their faces. Do you know Emma thinks it's her fault you were never around anymore? She told her counselor she must have done something wrong because her mom doesn't want to spend time with her. Lisa's face crumpled for a moment, but then she rallied. Look, maybe this is for the best. We've been stuck in a rut, going through the motions. David and I have been talking, and there are modern ways to handle this. Open marriages are becoming more common. I cut her off with another laugh, this one bitter and sharp. Open marriage? You want to legitimize your affair by calling it an open marriage. It's very evolved, very modern, she continued, as if I hadn't spoken. We could both see other people while maintaining our family unit. David thinks. Since when does some guy you're screwing get a vote in our marriage? She stood up then, anger finally breaking through her composed facade. He understands me better than you ever did. And you know what? This house, our savings, half of it's mine anyway. California is a community property state, so don't think you can just throw me out. That's when I pulled out my phone and showed her the prenuptial agreement she'd signed 15 years ago. Interesting theory, except we're in Connecticut. And everything's in my name, including this prenup you signed. Remember my father, the lawyer who insisted on it. The color drained from Lisa's face as she stared at the prenuptial agreement on my phone screen. You've been planning this, she whispered accusingly. Planning this? I felt a surge of anger so intense it made my hands shake. I've spent the last 6 months trying to save our marriage while you've been destroying it. The only thing I planned was our future together. Remember that? The vacation house we talked about buying when we retired? The college funds for the girls? The life we were supposed to build together? She sank back into the chair, her designer dress wrinkling. For the first time, I noticed how tired she looked beneath her perfect makeup. I never meant for this to happen, she said softly. Really? Which part? The lying? The cheating? Or getting caught? You don't understand what it's been like for me. Then explain it to me, I shouted, finally losing my composure. Explain to me how you could throw away 15 years of marriage. Explain to me how I'm supposed to tell our daughters that their mother chose some stranger over their family. The sound of a door creaking upstairs made us both freeze. Emma stood at the top of the stairs, her face pale in the darkness. Mom? Dad, what's happening? Lisa jumped up, smoothing her dress. Nothing, sweetie. Go back to bed. Don't mind to her, I cut in. She deserves better than more lies. Emma came down the stairs slowly, her phone clutched in her hand like a lifeline. I heard you fighting. Are you getting divorced? The way her voice cracked on that last word broke something inside me. I sat down heavily on the couch, patting the space beside me. Emma came and curled up next to me, something she hadn't done since she was little. She smelled like strawberry shampoo and childhood innocence. Your mother and I are having some problems, I said carefully, watching Lisa's face. We need to figure some things out. Is it because of David? Emma asked quietly. Lisa gasped. How do you? I'm not stupid, Mom, Emma said, her voice harder than I'd ever heard it. I saw your texts pop up on the iPad, the one you're still signed into on the family account. I closed my eyes, feeling a fresh wave of pain. Even our 13-year-old had known before me. The next few weeks were a blur of lawyers' offices and painful conversations. I hired Patricia Martinez, a divorce attorney known for her ruthless efficiency. Lisa tried to fight the prenup, claiming she'd signed it under duress. But my father had made sure it was ironclad. The documented infidelity works in our favor, Patricia explained during our first meeting. Combined with the prenup and your role as primary financial provider, we're in a strong position. What are your goals here? I want custody of the girls, I said without hesitation. Lisa's proven she can't put their needs first. Patricia nodded, making notes. That's going to be a fight. Are you ready for it? I'm ready for anything, I replied, thinking of Emma's face that night on the stairs. My daughters deserve better than what they've been getting. The divorce proceedings turned ugly fast. Lisa tried everything, claiming I was emotionally unavailable, that I worked too much, that I'd driven her to seek comfort elsewhere. But her arguments fell apart when faced with evidence. The credit card statements showing hotel charges, the text messages, the witnesses who'd seen her with David at various restaurants. The hardest part was watching the girls navigate this new reality. Jenna, at 10, couldn't fully understand what was happening. She'd burst into tears at random moments, asking if it was her fault Mommy didn't want to live with us anymore. Emma, on the other hand, turned cold toward her mother. She refused to answer Lisa's calls or texts, deleted her mother from her social media accounts. "Why can't you just forgive Mom?" Jenna asked one night, as I tucked her into bed. In movies, people always forgive each other. I sat on the edge of her bed, looking at the collection of stuffed animals she still arranged carefully each night. Sometimes, sweetheart, forgiveness isn't enough to fix things. Sometimes trust, once it's broken, can't be put back together the same way. But you always tell us to forgive people when they say sorry. I know, honey, and I do forgive Mom in a way, but forgiving someone doesn't mean you have to keep letting them hurt you. The divorce took 8 months to finalize. 8 months of court appearances, mediation sessions, and watching my daughters struggle to understand why their world was falling apart. Lisa fought hard for joint custody, but her case weakened considerably when she missed 3 scheduled visitations to attend events with David. The judge wasn't impressed by her priorities. During this time, I threw myself into being the best father I could be. I learned to braid Jenna's hair for school, joined the PTA to stay involved in their activities, and even took cooking classes so I could make more than just pasta and grilled cheese. Emma started teaching me about TikTok and the latest social media trends that I'm pretty sure she found my attempts to understand hilarious. One evening, about 6 months into the divorce proceedings, I was helping Emma with her math homework when she suddenly looked up at me with those serious eyes she'd developed since everything started. "Dad, is David going to be our new stepdad?" The question hit me like a punch to the gut. "No, sweetheart, nobody's replacing me as your dad." "Good," she said firmly, "because I hate him. I hate what he and Mom did to our family." I put down the pencil and turned to face her fully. "Emma, I need you to listen to me carefully. It's okay to be angry about what happened. I'm angry too, but holding on to hate, it only hurts you in the end. Your mom made some really bad choices, but she's still your mother." "She doesn't act like it," Emma muttered. "She keeps trying to buy me things instead of just being there. Last week she sent me these expensive headphones with a note saying she thought of me. She never thought of me when she was sneaking around with David." These conversations broke my heart, but they were necessary. I couldn't let my daughters become bitter and cynical because of their mother's choices. The final custody arrangement gave me primary custody, with Lisa getting every other weekend and Wednesday dinners. She was ordered to pay child support, though the amount was minimal compared to what I'd been providing. The house went to me, along with most of our assets, thanks to the prenup. Lisa moved into a luxury apartment downtown, closer to her office and, not coincidentally, to David. For a while, everything fell into a new kind of normal. I adjusted our routines, learned to manage a household solo, and started rebuilding my life. The girls seemed to be adapting too, though there were still rough patches. Jenna would sometimes cry herself to sleep after Lisa cancelled plans last minute. Emma threw herself into every extracurricular activity she could find, as if staying busy would keep her from thinking about the divorce. Then, about a year after everything imploded, Lisa showed up unannounced on my doorstep. It was a rainy Sunday evening, and I just finished helping the girls with their weekly meal prep for school lunches. She looked different, thinner, with dark circles under her eyes that her expensive makeup couldn't quite hide. "Can we talk?" she asked, her voice small. I glanced over my shoulder, making sure the girls weren't within earshot. "About what?" "David left," she said, wrapping her arms around herself. "He's been seeing other women. 3 other married women, actually. Apparently, I wasn't special at all, just part of his pattern." I felt a complex mix of emotions. Satisfaction that karma had caught up with them, pity for how broken she looked, and a deep residual anger that she'd thrown away our family for someone so worthless. "I'm sorry to hear that," I said, and I mostly meant it. "I made a terrible mistake, Matt," she whispered, tears welling in her eyes. I know I hurt you, hurt our girls, but maybe we could try again. For the family. I stood in the doorway, looking at the woman I had once loved more than anything in the world, and felt nothing. No anger anymore, no pain, just a hollow sort of pity. No, Lisa, I said quietly. Not for the family, not for the girls, not for any reason. What we had is gone. But I've changed, she insisted, stepping closer. David was a mistake. A horrible, stupid mistake. I see that now. We could go to counseling, work things out. The thing is, I interrupted. I've changed too, and I like who I've become without you. It was true. The past year had transformed me in ways I never expected. After the initial shock and pain wore off, I started focusing on myself. I joined a gym, not out of revenge or competition, but because I needed somewhere to put my restless energy. I started therapy, learning to process my anger and trust issues. I even took up photography, something I'd always wanted to try but never had time for when I was trying to be the perfect husband. Lisa wiped at her tears, smudging her mascara. What about the girls? They need their mother. They do need their mother, I agreed. But they need a mother who puts them first, not one who shows up when her plan B falls apart. If you want to rebuild your relationship with them, I'll support that. But our marriage is over. She stared at me for a long moment, perhaps seeing for the first time how much I'd changed. The old Matt would have wavered, might have given in to guilt or obligation. But that Matt died the night I saw her kissing David through the restaurant window. You've really moved on, haven't you? She whispered. I thought about the past few months, about the peace I'd found in our new routine, about the way Emma had started smiling again, how Jenna was excelling in her dance classes now that she had consistent support. And yes, I thought about Annie. I'd met Annie at a parent-teacher conference 3 months ago. She was Emma's new English teacher, recently transferred from another district. We literally bumped into each other in the hallway, such a cliché, sending her stack of papers flying everywhere. As we scrambled to pick them up, laughing at our clumsiness, I noticed she had the kindest eyes I'd ever seen. She was different from Lisa in every way. Where Lisa had been all polished surfaces and careful image, Annie was genuinely, refreshingly real. She wore practical clothes, laughed without worrying how it looked, and had this amazing ability to make everyone around her feel heard and valued. She was also a single parent, raising her 10-year-old son Tyler after losing her husband to cancer 3 years ago. Our first date wasn't even supposed to be a date. We'd run into each other at the local coffee shop on a Saturday morning, and somehow ended up talking for 3 hours about everything from favorite books to the challenges of single parenthood. When she mentioned taking Tyler to the Science Museum the following weekend, I found myself asking if she'd mind company. Emma had been wanting to go too. That day at the museum, watching our kids excitedly discuss the exhibits, while Annie's eyes lit up with genuine enthusiasm, I felt something I thought had died forever. Hope. Yes, I told Lisa, I have moved on. And you should too. Really moved on, not just looking for someone to fill the void. She opened her mouth as if to argue, then closed it again. Finally, she nodded. I really did love you, you know, for a long time. I know, I loved you too. But sometimes love isn't enough if there isn't trust and respect to go with it. After she left, I went inside and found the girls in the living room. Emma was helping Jenna with her science project, their heads bent together over a model of the solar system. They looked up when I came in. Was that Mom? Emma asked, her voice carefully neutral. Yes, I said, sitting down with them. She wanted to talk. Is she coming back? Jen asked, a mix of hope and fear in her voice. I pulled her into a hug. No, sweetheart. But she does want to be a better mom to you both, and I think maybe she's finally ready to try. Jenna nestled closer to me, her small frame trembling slightly. Emma looked up from their science project, her eyes sharp and watchful. I could see the complex emotions playing across her teenage face. A mixture of hurt, anger, and a tiny spark of cautious hope. What does that even mean? Emma asked, her voice carefully controlled. being a better mom after everything. I chose my words carefully. It means she wants to listen, to actually be present in your lives, not just when it's convenient for her. Just then, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Annie. "How are you all doing?" Tyler's asking if Emma and Jenna want to come over for pizza and board games this weekend. The timing felt almost magical. Here was someone who genuinely wanted to be part of our lives, who cared about the girls not because she had to, but because she wanted to. Jenna's eyes lit up. "Can we, Dad? Tyler always lets me win at Monopoly." Emma rolled her eyes, but I could see the hint of a smile. She means he lets her cheat at Monopoly. "Hey," I ruffled Jenna's hair. Sometimes in life, a little strategic kindness goes a long way. The girls didn't know it yet, but we were healing. Not just surviving the aftermath of Lisa's betrayal, but actually rebuilding, stronger, more connected, and with a newfound understanding that family isn't about perfection, but about genuine love, trust, and showing up, even when it's hard. The weekend came quickly. Annie's invitation felt like a breath of fresh air in our still healing family. As we drove to her house, I caught Emma watching me in the rearview mirror, her expression a mix of curiosity and cautious hope. "So," Emma said carefully, "Tyler's mom is really cool." I smiled, appreciating her attempt to understand. "Annie's different. She's genuine. Not like..." I didn't finish the sentence. No need to bring Lisa into this moment. Jenna bounced in her seat. "Tyler showed me his science project last time we hung out. He's making a robot for the school competition." When we arrived, Tyler greeted us with the enthusiastic energy of a 10-year-old. He was lanky, with Annie's kind eyes and a mop of unruly brown hair. Tyler and Jenna immediately dove into a heated discussion about robotics, while Emma hung back, observing. Annie emerged from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a dish towel. "Pizza's almost ready. Homemade crust. Hope you're okay with that." The evening unfolded naturally. No forced conversations, no awkward silences. Tyler showed the girls his half-built robot, explaining each component with passionate precision. Annie and I found ourselves sharing stories, carefully, respectfully, aware of the children's presence. "How are you handling everything?" she asked me quietly while the kids were in the other room. I appreciated her directness. Some days are harder than others. The girls are resilient, but the wounds are still fresh. Later that night, driving home, Emma surprised me. "Annie's nice," she said softly. "She's not trying to replace Mom. She's just present." Those words hit me harder than any courtroom testimony. The following week brought unexpected challenges. Lisa called, requesting to increase her visitation. Her lawyer argued that she had been making consistent efforts to reconnect with the girls. Patricia, my attorney, was blunt. She missed 3 scheduled visits last quarter. The court won't look favorably on her request. But something felt different this time. When Lisa came to pick up the girls for her scheduled weekend, there was a vulnerability I hadn't seen before. She arrived early, dressed simply, no designer labels, minimal makeup. "I've been taking parenting classes," she said, almost defensively. "And therapy. Lots of therapy." Emma and Jenna were cautious but listening. Jenna, always the more forgiving one, asked, "Do you really want to spend time with us?" The question hung in the air, loaded with years of disappointment and hope. Lisa's attempt to reconnect was met with careful skepticism. Emma, now more perceptive than ever, watched her mother with a critical eye that belied her 13 years. "I've been taking these parenting classes," Lisa repeated, pulling out a folder with certificates. "I want to understand where I went wrong." Jenna, always the more emotional of the two, looked hopeful, but Emma's expression remained guarded. "Certificates don't fix missed birthdays," she said coldly. The visitation that weekend was tense. Lisa tried to plan activities, a trip to the mall, dinner at a fancy restaurant, but the girls saw through her attempts to buy their affection. "I want to hear about your life," Lisa pleaded during dinner. "Tell me about school, your friends." Emma's response was surgical in its precision. "Why? so you can pretend to care for a weekend. You missed Jenna's ballet recital. You weren't there when I was struggling with math. Where were you when we actually needed you? The words hung in the air like a guillotine. Lisa's carefully constructed facade crumbled. Meanwhile, my life was taking a different trajectory. Annie had become a constant, but not in an invasive way. She understood boundaries, knew how to be present without overstepping. The girls were warming up to her, not as a replacement, but as a genuine friend. One evening, during a family game night at our house, Tyler and the girls were engaged in a heated Monopoly battle. Annie and I sat to the side watching. "How are you really doing?" she asked, her hand close to mine but not touching. I appreciated her directness. Some days are a battle. Emma's anger runs deep. Jen is still trying to understand why her mother chose a man over her family. Patricia called me the next week with interesting news. David, Lisa's affair partner, had been fired from his marketing firm. Apparently, his pattern of affairs have finally caught up with him. Corporate ethics investigations revealed he'd been using company resources to conduct his personal relationships. Karma has a way of catching up, Patricia said, and it's working overtime in this case. The girls were changing too. Emma joined the school debate team, channeling her anger into articulate arguments. Jenna threw herself into dance, finding solace in the discipline and creativity of movement. "I don't want her to define me," Emma told me one night. "What happened with Mom? It's her story, not mine." Those words broke and healed my heart simultaneously. The months rolled by, and our family found a new rhythm. Annie wasn't trying to replace Lisa. She was creating something entirely different. A partnership built on mutual respect and genuine care. One Saturday, Annie suggested a family hiking trip. Tyler brought his robotics project to work on during breaks, while Emma and Jenna packed their backpacks with snacks and water bottles. The connection felt natural, unforced. On the trail, Tyler and Jenna raced ahead, discussing his latest robot design. Emma walked beside Annie, gradually opening up about school, her debate team, her dreams of becoming a lawyer. "I want to specialize in family law," Emma confided. "Make sure kids like me have a voice when adults make terrible decisions." Annie listened without judgment, offering insights but never lecturing. It was a delicate dance of support and respect. During a break by a mountain stream, Matt watched his daughters and Annie. Tyler was showing Jenna how to program a small robot using his laptop. Emma was reviewing her debate notes, occasionally asking Annie for feedback. "You're good with them," Matt said quietly to Annie. She smiled. "They're good kids, hurt, but resilient. They remind me of Tyler after losing his dad." Their relationship wasn't a whirlwind romance. It was a careful, thoughtful connection between two people who understood loss and rebuilding. Patricia called with an update about Lisa's ongoing attempts to modify the custody agreement. "She's claiming you're preventing her from being a good mother," she explained. Matt's response was calm. "Document everything. Every missed visit, every broken promise. The girls are my priority." Emma overheard the conversation. "I want to speak in court," she said firmly. "I want the judge to hear my side." The strength in her voice was remarkable. She wasn't a victim. She was becoming a force of her own. Jenna's dance recital became a turning point. Annie helped her with her costume. Tyler designed a special robot that could take photos, and Matt watched with pride as his younger daughter performed. "I'm doing this for me," Jenna told him backstage. "Not to prove anything to Mom. Just for me." The school year progressed, bringing new challenges and opportunities. Matt's professional life was also transforming. His experience with the divorce had sparked an interest in helping other families navigate complex legal and emotional landscapes. He started a support group for single fathers, using his personal story as a catalyst for healing and empowerment. The group met monthly at a local community center, with Annie occasionally helping organize events. Emma's debate skills were becoming legendary. She won a regional competition, her argument about children's rights in divorce situations drawing standing ovations. Matt watched her, seeing not just his daughter, but a future advocate who would change lives. I want to create a system that actually protects children, Emma told him after the competition. Not just legal papers, but real support. Jenna's robotics and dance interests continued to flourish. Tyler's influence has sparked a deep love for technology in her. She began entering local science competitions, with Tyler as her primary collaborator. Annie's presence brought stability without pressure. She understood boundaries perfectly. Some weekends, she'd be fully involved with the family, others she'd give them space. Tyler had become like a brother to the girls, protective, supportive, genuinely caring. Matt's relationship with Annie deepened gradually. No rushed romance, but a partnership built on mutual respect and understanding. They discussed everything: their past traumas, their hopes for their children, their individual dreams. I never thought I'd trust someone again, Matt confessed during one of their quiet evenings. Lisa destroyed that. Annie's response was characteristic of her wisdom. Trust isn't about never being hurt. It's about being brave enough to open yourself again, knowing you're strong enough to handle whatever comes. Tyler's robotics team qualified for the state championships. Jenna was his primary programmer, their collaboration a testament to their unique friendship. Matt and Annie watched proudly as the kids prepared their presentation. Lisa's attempts to reconnect continued to be minimal and superficial. The court-mandated visits became less frequent, her interest seemingly waning once the initial guilt subsided. Emma, now more mature, saw through her mother's attempts. She wants to look like a good mother, she told Matt. But being a good mother is about consistent love, not occasional gestures. Matt's support group grew. Men who had been lost, confused, suddenly found a community. They shared stories, strategies, supported each other through the complex emotions of divorce and single parenthood. As the year drew to a close, Matt realized how much had changed. He was no longer the man who had been blindsided by betrayal. He was a stronger, more intentional father, a partner who understood the value of genuine connection. Annie proposed a family vacation, a road trip exploring national parks. Tyler would bring his robotics equipment, the girls their books and interests. It wasn't about escaping their past, but celebrating their present. We're not a broken family, Matt told the kids during their planning. We're a redesigned family, different but strong. The family road trip became a defining moment. Driving through national parks, sharing stories, laughing. They were no longer just surviving, but truly living. Tyler's robotics project became a metaphor for their journey. He was building a complex machine that could adapt, reconfigure, overcome obstacles, just like they had. Their final destination was Yellowstone. As they watched the sunset over the vast landscape, Matt looked at his daughters. Emma, poised and determined; Jenna, creative and curious. And Annie, who had become more than a partner, but a true ally. We made it, he said quietly. Emma, now preparing for a prestigious summer law program, squeezed his hand. We did more than make it, Dad. We rebuilt. Jenna and Tyler were programming their robot, discussing complex algorithms with the ease of close friends. Annie captured the moment on camera, her eyes reflecting pure joy. The lawsuit against Lisa for consistent visitation violations was successful. The court recognized the pattern of abandonment, significantly reducing her custody rights. Emma's testimony had been pivotal. Matt's support group for single fathers had grown into a national network. His personal story inspired hundreds of men to be present, intentional parents. As they prepared to return home, Matt realized something profound. Betrayal hadn't destroyed his family. It had transformed them. Tyler would go on to win the robotics championship. Emma would pursue her law degree with a focus on family rights. Jenna continued her dance and technology pursuits. And Matt and Annie, they built a partnership based on mutual respect, understanding, and genuine love. The road ahead wasn't perfect, but it was theirs.